Please, let's call this meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance, please. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 3, adoption of the agenda.
Romano adopts the agenda.
Support.
Please vote.
Commissioner Zenner, did a vote pop up for you?
Yes,
It
I
did.
said yes.
Okay, thank you. That's okay. Motion passes 12-0.
The vote's 12-0.
Yes.
Okay. Item number 4, approval of the minutes of December the 11th, please. Motion to approve.
So moved by Nard.
Support.
Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Item number 5, public participation. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on anything that's on the agenda? Once, twice, 3 times. We'll close public participation. Let's go to item number 6. This is a budget amendment, planning and economic development, grant fund contribution from general fund of $12,600. Vicki,
Chair, I'll make the motion.
motion.
For the full board.
Support.
Nard, all in favor?
No.
Not yet. Presentation first.
Sure. I was going to say Happy New Year, Board of Commissioners. So what you have in front of you is a budget amendment for $12,600. We look at the CDBG program as a phenomenal program for the county, the benefits that it provides. However, it's 100% federally funded. We do run into some issues where we may be closing out a grant that falls under the HUD program, where we've got to apply that CDBG staff time towards something, but it, unfortunately, with a grant being closed out, there's no ability for us to pull additional dollars from that pot of money. There does need to be some type of contingency. And so with this, what we're requesting is it's an overall 2% of their staff time for the year 2024 for us to allow for those exceptions. There's also, when we look at the bigger strategic plan with CDBG, getting that program out into the community, if we cannot apply their hours to a specific grant, we're not able to do that outreach. And so with that, we hope to support, one, whenever we have those closeouts with those grants, having some funding coming through the county to help support that. And number 2 is to really grow and support the outreach of the CDBG team.
Any questions? Mr. Sabatini, Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair. Hey, Vicki. I know I talked about this during budget, and I didn't support this, and specifically because this being a block grant and these grants, I don't like using general fund dollars towards these grants, especially when they're 100% federally funded. I know your amount here is $12,600. How many hours is that?
There was a calculation that we did. I can get that back to you. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay.
There's 5 individuals on that team, so 2% of their time.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
No other speakers? Please vote.
Motion passes 10-2. Commissioners Kraft and Sabatini voting no.
Item B, budget amendment, planning and economic development, conferences and training of $17,500. Vicki, give us,
Yep, you got it. So when we presented our budget back in 2023,
Chair, I'll make the motion, refer it to full board.
discussion. All right, so back when we met in 2023 to discuss the budget for planning and economic development, a specific question was posed by Commissioner Sabatini in regards to a $40,000 increase in travel. At that time, did not realize that there was actually a shift in the accounting of what was presented to you versus supplies and services and conferences and training. So in fact, the true cost of what we were looking to do with our travel budget was increase it by 10,000. When the board went back and negotiated our budget, they actually went through and cut our budget, our travel budget by 10. So the request in front of you is for a amendment to restore our previous travel budget to where we were years previous, as well as a $10,000 increase for 2024 for additional travels.
Questions?
I have a question.
Chair,
I have a question really quick, if I
go
could.
ahead.
Vicky, thank you. Absolutely correct. Talked with Vicky, talked with Steve, figured out the discrepancies, and I do agree. So I am supporting this today. And I just want to say this to other commissioners, the budget obviously is final when we pass it, but this is a perfect example of a department coming back to this board for a correction to the budget or making an adjustment to it. So I certainly will support it today.
Thank you.
Chair.
Commissioner Kraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, Vicky. Just a question for you. Why from the general fund and not from your own department's fund? This whole year, I'm going to be a real stickler when it comes to general fund dollars because we have a massive project that we're undertaking for the next 5 years. So I'm not picking on you. I'm going to go after every department on general fund dollars. And I'm just wondering why you can't find $17,500 from within your own department, whether it be personnel or any other line item.
Sure. If you would have looked at our year to year compared to 2023 to 2024, we've actually taken some pretty big cuts across the board in other budget line items. So this is actually what I call like a double cut for us. We are a department that is fiscally conservative. When we look at ways to stretch those dollars, whenever we can pursue grants, and we've done this in the past, where we've wrote in travel dollars into our grants so that it offsets, so it does not come out of general fund. We're going to continue to try to do that. Any opportunity we have where we can find either money from the state of Michigan or through our partners at the federal government to offset, we will.
So I asked that question because I know there's a senior member of your team that recently stepped down. I don't know if you have filled that position yet, or if you're looking to fill that anytime in the near future. I'm looking at this dollar amount and I'm looking at the offset from that vacant position to see if, maybe in another month or so, based on that person's salary, that 17.5 is there in your budget. That's why I'm asking the GF as opposed to your own
Sure.
department.
I'm not sure how that all works within finance. One falls under staffing and the other is more programmatic.
Right. Okay. I'm just wondering. Thank you, Vicky.
You got
Thank
it.
you, Mr. Chair.
Other speakers? Please vote.
Commissioner, if I may, I'd like to make a motion to piggyback or add an amendment in this particular motion, and that's to increase the prosecutor's office personnel budget by $107,000, $40, and to amend the corresponding increase to the general fund's use of a fund balance of $124,540.
Support Zinner.
Any discussion? Please vote.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
We're waiting for a vote on this.
Can I ask a question regarding the vote?
Yes.
If I vote yes, does this provide planning with this money that they're asking for and the prosecutor's office?
This
what
is
they're
the
asking?
amendment.
This is just the amendment? Okay. Thank you.
Motion passes 11-1. Commissioner Song voting no.
Thank you.
Now we have to vote on the motion.
Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Go to item C, 7C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Brian.
Motion to recommend to full board.
Support.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. First item would be 7C, be a contract for Procare tree service for our annual tree and stump removal program. That total estimated cost is $167,695. Seeking approval of that contract today.
Commissioner Zhang?
Thank you, Chair. How many trees and stumps will be removed with this program? And last year, was there like any remaining funds, or do you anticipate all of this will be used by the end of the year?
I can get you numbers. I don't have the exact numbers as far as total number of trees, but I can get you that information. It's comparable to all of our consistently past few years. And we tend to always use, what we budget for. Obviously, there's a lot of obstacles out there as far as fallen trees, dead trees, stumps that are a safety issue that are adjacent to the travel portion of the roadway. And throughout the year, obviously, our maintenance crews travel rigorously the roads and find these locations to take care of through this program. So I can get you the total cost or the total number of trees and stumps that we remove.
Brian. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Brian, a question, is this for all municipalities? 'Cause some
Yes, it's countywide.
Because some municipalities have their own ordinance where they do stump removal or tree removal or branches. Are you in conflict with them or are you in agreement with them?
No, this is separate from, so the townships don't have any jurisdictional roadways. So we have all jurisdictional roadways, and the townships would be the primary and the local roads. Within the cities and villages, that would only affect the primary roads that are under our jurisdiction. So they have their own local roads, they're their own Act 51 agency, so they deal with theirs. So we don't do anything on their local roads within the cities or villages.
Do they ever call for assistance?
Typically not. Typically they handle their own services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item,
Item D, which would be a revised cost share. This is for the city of Fraser. This is the reconstruction and widening of Garfield Road between 14 and 15 Mile Road. There's a previous cost share that was submitted. There were some adjustments to that. We tend to get our cost shares out in advance, early in the ballgame, so that we can start documenting our usage of time and getting compensated for that from the communities. There was some adjustments to the overall cost with current costs of materials, labor, and equipment. So there was a new cost share that was generated. Obviously, discussions with the city of Fraser with increased costs. There still is a 80-20 match, so 80% federally funded, but the 20% match went up. So we're requesting a revised cost share. So the total county cost is $1,915,253.
Commissioner Hall?
Brian, you said you talked to the city of Fraser, they agreed with the adjustment?
Yes, they are aware of the adjustment as far as the increase in overall total construction cost.
Thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Brian, is this both sides of Garfield,
Yes.
north and south of Garfield?
Yes.
So all those homes on the west side, because you have the right, south side or the east side is school there, right?
Yes, majority on the east side is the school, correct?
So all those residents are gonna lose, which is not their property right now, it's all easement there, correct?
Yes, we obviously have to purchase or have purchased all the right-of-way necessary to go to a 3-lane wide construction. There's some bypass lanes and stuff that are already that wide, but throughout this project, we will secure all the right-of-way to widen to a full 3-lane cross-section.
So all those residents are gonna get, are gonna get new driveways then?
Yes, correct.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, Commissioner. Item E, which would be a cost share agreement with Shelby Township for the reconstruction and widening of Schoenherr Road between 23 Mile and 25 Mile Road. Overall total cost, $12,824,336. County cost is $2,495,489. This is once again a 80% federally funded project, so 20% would be split between us and Shelby Township. So seeking approval of this cost share agreement.
Discussion? If not, item F.
Item F, another cost share agreement with Armada Township. And this is for the rehabilitation of the Hicks Road Bridge over the Coon Creek. Total cost is $197,760. County cost split with Armada Township. County cost is $22,080. And once again, this is 80% federally funded with a 20% match. Us splitting 10% each between us and Armada Township.
Discussion, item G, please.
The last one is similar. This is a cost share agreement with Lennox Township this time. It's for the rehabilitation of Bates Road Bridge over Deer Creek. Once again, 80% federally funded, 20% to be split between us and the community.
Any discussion? If not, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioners.
Item 7, correspondence.
We got a vote.
Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Item 7, correspondence, Macomb Work Zone Lane Closure and Construction Update, January 22nd, 2024. Motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Second by
Yep.
Romano. Any discussion? All in favor, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
At this point, I have to turn this meeting over to Public Safety, Commissioner Romano.
I don't think I can match you, Commissioner Byrne, but I'm going to try.
He has to.
Excuse me? I thought there was some. Records and Public Safety Committee. Item 9A is a budget amendment, Community Corrections 2022 and 2023, Byrne Justice Assistant Grant, 2022 amount $24,638. 2023, the amount is $25,513. We have Barb Caskey, who's Director of Community Corrections, and Captain Steve Briney. Go ahead, Ms. Caskey.
Chair,
Hi.
I'll make the motion to refer to full board.
Thank you. I need a second. I have a motion by Commissioner Hall, supported by Commissioner Nard. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Caskey.
Good afternoon. We're here to request a budget amendment for the JAG grant. This is for the 2023 Byrne Justice Assistance Grant in the total amount of $25,513 to be split between the Sheriff's Department and Community Corrections for the purchase of marine equipment for the Sheriff's Department and for pretrial services training for the annual pretrial training that also provides certification for the pretrial specialist in my department. It's one of the only trainings available for pretrial staff across the country. And that's also to request, there was an error in the 2022 amount for the JAG grant. So we're requesting an additional amount of $1,500, which is what we received. It was incorrectly submitted for 2022, so that total amount is $24,638. And that was to be used for the purchase of 3 stop sticks for the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you. I see no speakers. We have a motion to recommend this to full board. Please vote.
I think we're stuck. Did everybody get their vote?
Yes.
If you want to do a voice vote, they're not coming through.
We have a voice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Item B is to purchase Wolverine Power Systems Radio Tower Mobile Diesel Engine Generator for $42,380. Brandon Lewis, Director of Emergency Management Communications. I need a motion to recommend this to full board.
Support, Perna.
Been moved by Commissioner Nardi, supported by Commissioner Perna. Mr. Lewis.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm seeking approval today to purchase a mobile diesel generator in the amount of $42,380 for use at our radio communication sites. As you may know, the county operates all of the infrastructure that our first responder radios operate on. That traffic is primarily carried over 14 radio towers. Each one has a backup generator, and each of those backup generators is part of a maintenance program. However, it is best practice to have a mobile generator that can be deployed to those sites in the event that there is a generator and a power outage. And there is funding available this year in the Radio Communications Fund to purchase that mobile generator. So we'd like to go ahead and move forward with that project.
Thank you. I have a question here from Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. Where will the generator be stored?
It'll be stored here on campus at Technical Services. And we have a vehicle capable of deploying it. We have an on-call technician 24/7. So if there's an issue that it needs to be deployed, the technician will come out, pick up the generator, hook it to the vehicle, and take it where it's needed.
Are all the sites wired so this can just, it's a plug and play type thing?
We're working on that right now as well, but the oldest sites right now are wired for that capability. So yes, it is plug and play.
The cost of working on that, is that included in this money or will?
It is not. We're also paying for that from the Radio Communications Fund. It's a nominal cost compared to the cost of the generator itself.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Perna. I'm sorry, Commissioner Perna.
Is the capability of that generator, is it at full capacity? You can move it to any location?
Yes.
So there's not going to be a demand issue if the location requires a bigger generator?
No, and no, that's correct. And we've spec'd the appropriate generator. The generator that we're purchasing can run the site with the highest power demand.
Thank you.
All set, Commissioner? I see no other speakers. We have a motion to move this to full board. Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item C is a budget amendment, Register of Deeds, Parcel ID Analytics, Manual Indexing, $134,095, and we are graced with the presence of our clerk, Mr. Forlini. I need a motion to move this to full board.
So, board.
I've got a motion by Nard and a support by Commissioner Haw. Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you guys all again today. I got to tell you, it's a real honor to be here today. We got a couple of items. This one in particular is very special because when I first became clerk, Register of Deeds, I noticed that all properties, and if you're a real estate agent, you understand this, that to look up deeds is grantor, grantee, and you're dealing with names, and you got to look up names, and if it's a common name, you're just doing a hunt for finding the deeds in the Register of Deeds office. And my comment was, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be something better than we're doing right now. And Carmela Sabal actually years ago came up with, actually paid for a contractor to come in $250,000 a year to start indexing property so that you can look at it on various aspects, plots, addresses. And it was a good program, but it was going to take 37 years based on that process to get it done. And I'm thinking there's got to be a better way. And, it would have been about $12 million to get that entire project done back then using that method. And, first off, board, thank you so much for what we've done already and what you've done in improving the monies for what we've done, because we've now indexed over 9 million properties. I got that right? 9 million, not properties, but
97% of 9 million records.
97% of 9 million records. How's that? Yeah. And I got to tell you, I thank God every day because of this woman standing to my left, because we were thinking of a better way of doing it the way Carmela was doing it. But then Jennifer came up with a better way to do it compared to what I was thinking. And so she has come up with a method. She's going to go over it real quick. And it's been successful so far, and we're just doing the final pieces, and that's what we're here for. is to knock it out within 2 years at a pretty much a savings of close to $12 million. So it's, the whole thing will be done in 2 years. All of it, she says. So I'm gonna let her speak because she really, she spoke to you before, and she's just a wealth of information. And let me just say this, she wasn't even in the deeds department prior to working here, and she's done a remarkable job in just grasping the concept and bringing it to the point where she's spoken on a national level at a conference about the ideas that we're doing, and they're embracing it in other parts of the country. So, Jennifer?
Do we need you?
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
I
yes.
got one more agenda. They didn't need me.
Jennifer, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Hi, Jennifer, here on behalf of Clerk Ferlini. Thank you very much for all those compliments. You can make me blush or watery-eyed. So our parcel ID data analytics, this is the final piece, the manual indexing. It's very exciting. I do have like a recap of just who we are, what we do, and the project overall, since this is the final piece. So we record real estate documents. The purpose of our office is to provide an inexpensive and trustworthy means for parties interested to search the documents. Currently, in searching here and across Register of Deeds in the country, you have to search by name. And if you want to trace the title history or the ownership history, you have to do that manually, name by name by name, with multiple searches. If you want to search by property, the same thing. If it's parcel ID, if it's address, if it's the legal description information, you have to do separate searches, which is very time consuming. So the goal is to get one search to get reliable results of all of a piece of property. And Clerk Ferlini mentioned there's the traditional methods are hiring an army of indexers, whether internal or third party. But Clerk Ferlini tasked us with finding an innovative solution. So we got to work on that. And how we're getting there in the project so far, we're about 70% complete. The concept we came up with is what we call the property spine. We used existing county resources through partnerships with GIS, equalization, the local assessors, NIT, to build a hosted database of all 332,000 parcels in Macomb County. So what this hosted database does is create those connections between the parcel ID, the address, the legal description. An example of how this works currently in the Register of Deeds with indexing, our clerks have to manually input each piece. And with the property spine in place, it will ping the property spine and then bring back that information because we already have it hosted and related. Our public search is going to operate much of the same way. Someone will go to search for a parcel ID number, it will ping the property spine so it can bring back the related documents that are only indexed by maybe address or the legal description. And the other bonus about the property spine is we did build it in a way so that the other county departments that rely on land records can also utilize it to connect their systems. That kind of leads into who benefits. And like I said, there's 7 county departments who use land record data in the county to do their own jobs of whether it's hosting GIS, assessing taxes, submitting state reports and adjusting the taxes with equalization, public works, departments of roads, the people who support our infrastructure. They have to search our records and be able to find ownership of a specific piece of property usually. We've been the outlier the whole time with names. We've had some land. So just the implementation of this will immediately benefit these other departments, but we have also met with them in development of the property spine to see how the spine itself can help them have better search terms in their own systems, to better assign location to their own documents and project documents that they use to do their jobs. Also, with the public search, just the public who depends on our documents for estate planning, businesses, title companies, and multiple government agencies that rely on researching real estate transactions will immediately see an impact of the quality of results and reliability of the results they get. So on to what we're actually asking for today. How was that a speedy review? So phase 4 of our contract with Property Insight that the board graciously approved in 2022. we took all 9 million, the data of all 9 million records, and through data analytics, we're able to index 97% of them. At the time, we didn't know what the number was gonna be. Honestly, I thought 2 million, I'd be lucky. Out of 9 million, only 279,000 need to be manually indexed. So as part of that contract, we had a price with our vendor, which means $134,000. I think I'm very excited about that. So in comparison, what we had brought to you back in 2022 when we originally brought this contract was with the 9 million records traditional methods. If we hired additional staff or used existing staff, it would cost $9 million in wages alone. It would be very slow availability to the public, plus costs of training and licensing costs. If we hired an outside third-party indexing firm, $12 million, like Tony said, it would take 37 years. So if you want to see the comparison of if we still pursued that with this remaining 279,000, it would still be more than the cost we're getting from the contract phase 4 price that we have quoted. So overall, a recap in 2021, we thank you for approving the discovery where we met with all the other departments that utilize land records so that we could plan out this project and make sure that it does benefit everybody so we can literally improve how our government works. In 2022, you guys improved the project as a whole, so we're getting the property spine, the go-forward track index, training documentation. We got 97% of those 9 million records, so we're just left with asking you please to approve the $134,000 for a saving of $8 to $11 million to the county. And with that, any questions?
Trying to catch my breath.
Jennifer, Mr. Byrne.
Question, are the 8 departments that you deal with, is there going to be any fee to those departments for any of your services?
Feed? Yes. Oh, fees.
Jen, you want to speak of them?
Oh, sorry. That I don't know specifically. I would imagine there is. So for the property spine itself, the Register of Deeds does host it. We are paying those annual hosting fees. But if there's any annual hosting fees with their own vendors, so like Acela is one of the other vendors. I don't remember if it was for Public Works or roads. You know, they have to seek out an enhancement with them, and then there'll be hosting fees possibly for that, depending on how it works out with them. The IT department does have $75,000 budgeted just for implementing these integrations.
So you may get a fee. Are you going to pass that fee on?
Are we gonna pass a fee? No. Well.
Why not?
To the other county departments.
So there may be a fee you may have to pay.
Well, the other departments, like we, as part of the project, we're paying $120,000 in hosting fees.
Thank you.
All set, Commissioner?
Yes.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Jen, great job. I remember years ago when Carmelo came to this board asking to start this project. I think actually Todd came and was talking about this project, and I said, do you think we'll ever get this project done? And I don't know how many years ago that was, but
Look at the gray hair on Todd.
yeah. But this is huge. I mean, the savings is astronomical. In regards to the technology fund, I mean, what this does, just, generalize what she said, is it's huge. Just it's information that we all need amongst, obviously, the public and departments. But the tech fund itself, which is a very healthy tech fund, I might say, what other things can we use the tech fund for? Because this is a huge success. And are there any things on the horizon that you're looking for out of this tech fund that we can use going forward?
Well, with other integrations, I know once we get this in place, I would like to pursue getting the local municipalities integrated into it. I don't know how that would really be a cost to the tech fund. I do know with our current balance, over the years, it hasn't been spent because there was the track index project previously, and then in 2016 it was stopped. So the balance did kind of build up. Recordings have been down, so our replenishment will be a little lower, but I'll cook something up. Oh, Brian? Yeah, it does have specific uses for enhancing electronic recording and indexing.
Yeah, I know it's-
So
it's
any,
specific.
any way we can innovate our system, you bet I'll explore it.
So at the end of 2022, the tech fund balance was $2,170,000. For the budgeted year of 2023, which includes all of the expenses so far that Jennifer showed you up on that slide, being paid for by the tech fund, and us having a low year of recordings due to primarily interest rates, revenue versus expenses only lowered the tech fund balance by $24,000 for 2023. So today, the tech fund balance right now, this minute, is $2,146,000. So we still have to sort of answer the fee question. I don't know if, based on the fund, if we could pay those costs for other departments if they acquired them. I'm not sure if the fund would allow us to do that. We would have to research it, but we still have a healthy fund.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. Jennifer, great presentation. I'm sure that Commissioner Wallace and Commissioner Sabatini and myself, being real estate agents for a while, you have simplified it so nice for us that I'm certain the Greater Metropolitan Board of Realtors looks at Macomb County and looks at other counties and say, listen, fasten yourself after them because they've made it so easy for us. So I congratulate you. I see no other speakers. We have a motion to move this to full board. Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item C is a budget amendment for the elections early voting grant, $2,128,719. Again, we have the pleasure of our clerk, Mr. Forlini.
Okay, board, this is, you usually don't get grant.
Chair, I'll make the motion, refer it to full board.
Why? Motion by Commissioner Hall and supported by Commissioner Nard to move this to full board. Now you may speak, Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
clerk.
Chair. This is kind of good. We usually don't come forward with the clerk's office with grants. We're not like Public Works or the Sheriff's Department, but we did get a grant. The state allocated $30 million for many purposes to get the early voting up and running this next year. Probably our biggest challenge in any of my departments with a 4-member staff to institute, train, educate the public as well as people for this new election laws that we got that are on us. And a lot of the burden is, you're going to see in coming years, is shifting to the county. The county's going to be a big part of this, I think, going forward. And so we're reinventing how we operate in the elections department. But what this is about today is we requested $2.1 million, which we will be receiving. And that includes all the municipalities and all the new equipment that they needed and all the requests that they made. We, on the other hand, the county put in for $459,860, and we're going to be responsible for the whole thing. So all the municipalities are working through us. The state's going to issue us a check and reimburse us for any expenses that we have. For the communities, so among other things, there's 2 backup ballot on-demand systems that we're getting $150,000 for extra ballots and ballot paper, and $100,000 for voter education and outreach and election worker recruitment. And I just tell you, just today, we had a 7 a.m. call from one of the clerks, desperate because there's not workers, and they need specialized workers. And guess what? We're training specialized workers. So we were able to go there right away and offer 3 workers for this community. And that's not the only request we got. 2 weeks ago, we got one from a northern community, needed I think 2 or 3 also. A southern community, East Point today called and wants to send their people over to train under our system because we're doing really a great job with the training, because we've established ourselves as a little better school to train workers and to recruit workers. And that we've been doing that for about a year now, recruiting workers. So we got a pretty good system, and this, part of this money is to do all of that we're talking about. And part of it's gonna be education. The public needs to know that they can vote early. They can vote 9 days early. And we're partially responsible for getting that done. So that's what this is all about. I don't know if there's any questions or if Michael has anything he wants to say, but,
We have some questions here, Clerk, if I may. Commissioner Song?
Thank you, Chair. Tony, congratulations on the $2.1 million. I know when I heard the state was allocating $30 million, I thought about if the county was going to receive a portion of that. So I'm really glad with your due diligence that we will be getting that for the early voting. Just to clarify, the $2.1 million out of that is the 459 just going directly to the county, and then the rest for the municipalities?
yes.
Okay, and then I know this year, the board appropriated 500 for the early voting. I think you had requested 700, and we voted down on it. So will that funding be going back into the general fund because of this grant, or do you anticipate you still needing that increase that you guys came to us?
Yeah.
Michael, you're up.
We do, based on what we requested and were allocated in last year's budget, we hope and anticipate that this grant will supplement it rather than replace it. But we would spend the grant money first before any of our budgeted dollars, and then, as always, whatever's left in our budget would go back into the general fund, if anything.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Clerk, when we went through the budget season a couple months ago, did you guys know we were getting this money? Because I know it was approved in the state budget, which was obviously done in June, we'll say. And I saw that the email that Michael received was dated 2 days after we approved the budget. Was that the final, this is what you're getting? It was just kind of up in the air in between state approval and then receiving that email? Okay.
Of course, our budget's going way before that date also. So.
Correct. Okay. So I was just wondering if we had any idea that we would be getting this money, because we've had other departments come before us, and this has been a little bit of a snafu. So I just wanted to make sure that, we were anticipating or we didn't know or, thought we might. So.
First off, I wouldn't do that because I'm a hardcore, trying to keep the budgets within budgets. And, even up until last week, I was calling Jonathan Brader. All right, this is solid. We're getting this money.
You know how it works.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Zinner?
Thank you, Chair. I know this voting situation had nothing to do with us in Macomb County. It came from Lansing and the governor. But I have a lot of constituents, citizens in Macomb County that are not happy about the 9 days because if people want to watch over elections, whatever the wording is that you want to put with that, they can take a day off for a day to do that, but it's hard for them to adjust their working schedule for that. So I know you can't do anything about that, but it is a challenge for people who really who feel they want to be there. And they feel that the 9 days is a long time and unnecessary. And they're really unhappy about that. They feel it's not necessary, and that they are concerned about the voting situation, just to speak for the people who feel that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And then for the cost as it is. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a cost to it. And we're be getting money back for this first year about what's the future hold. And it was actually, I wouldn't say it was the governor, it was the people. It was a constitutional amendment that the people voted on. So understand, whether I agree or disagree, doesn't really matter.
I understand.
Right? Thank you. Commissioner Hall?
Hello there, Clerk. As you're well aware, I get questions from two clerks on a pretty regular basis. They have been spending money for months now on training and establishing precincts and education. How rapidly is this funding going to get back to the local municipalities?
Well, after we hold on it for about a year. I'm kidding. We'd have to get
You
back
want to
home.
talk to two of them again?
Yeah. No, I actually, that was part of my conversation with Jonathan Brader, the election director at the state. And they really were thinking they were going to send one check at the end. I says, you can't do that, Jonathan. We got different budget years. I says, really what makes more sense is sometime in the summer, we're going to have a bulk of our costs already allocated. You should be sending one check out at the, say, the end of summer, based on everything we've done to ramp up for the fall elections, including materials and whatnot. And then at the end, it's just going to be labor costs for the final check. And he agreed that that's a great way of doing it, and he's going to rally for that. So that's what we're hoping for. Otherwise, it's going to be off the end.
And
And as soon as we get it, it's our intention just to turn it over.
And
We're just a
I know it
pass-through.
wasn't you that established 9-day early voting.
What's that?
I know it wasn't you that established 9-day early voting, because listening to the two clerks again, they didn't have a clue on how they were going to be able to implement that as well.
It keeps me up at night. It really does. And how we're going to do this, how we're going to help the local clerks. I really believe the direction is going to end up being that the county is going to be handling the early voting. I see it happening. Not that I want it. I don't want it to go that way. I believe all voting should be local. But, we're going to have communities that might have one or two people come in on one of these days, these 9 days of early voting. There's going to be 2 ballots in there, and they were there all day long for the voters.
Well, and I think of a person like Commissioner Zung here, who's got an election in January, election in, I believe, March.
Why are you
then-
putting me on the spot?
No, I'm sympathetic to you.
I had an election last year too.
By the way.
I mean, 5 times.
Yeah.
She'll have gray hair before this.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about that already, because there's overlapping elections in Warren, which is completely crazy. We didn't have to have that.
That's why I teed it up for you, Tony.
Well, thank you. Well,
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I have, Chair.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Tony, I know this was debated a little during budget, so I just did my math. And I know your staff said that you beat them down on what you wanted recommended, and the executive beat them down, and we beat them down on that total. It ends up that you got more than the total recommended, at least in that supplies and services. So I think you did pretty good.
We'll
So you
see.
didn't get it from this board, so you just called the state. Let's just be honest.
What's that?
You didn't get it from this board, so you just picked up the phone and called the state.
Well, no, listen, we're going to spend what needs to be spent and no more. And whatever comes back, it comes back to the board. It's not like it's staying in the clerk's office.
No,
Right.
I know that. I'm being,
And we're pretty efficient. When you think of the size county we have 4 people in elections. And what we're doing in the fall is I'm going to steal an employee from each department to try to come in and help our elections department on the final days and the days after, helping the Board of Canvassers. So we're going to try to use our resources we currently have without having to expand. As much as we
on a serious note, though, in regards to your training, I think that's a great idea. Because obviously, my clerk, I've heard a lot of this, the training, the issues with staffing, all those things, and I'm sure many communities are dealing with the same problems. So is there, the training that you're doing on a county-wide basis, is it remote? Do they have to come into our facility? Like, what can they do so that we can relay that information to our locals to make sure
they
that
know
they're
that.
taking advantage of it?
Yeah, no, and they all know what we're doing, and they all access it. Certainly, your clerk is one of the bigger communities and very blessed to have the resources that she has, and as are a few of the others, but some of them don't have the resources, nor do they have the skill level to train. And I'll be honest, I'm one of those guys, I was watching some of the earlier training, and we're just checking the box that they're trained. And I'm thinking, I sat through it, I still don't know what the heck you're talking about. So I looked at it and says, we have to make sure there's retention of knowledge. And we've actually had people, one person in particular flunk 3 times. We wouldn't pass them through until they grasped the information. So we're very tuned in to making sure they understand. And we want them to be good workers, not just from the standpoint of technology and what the job encompasses, but also to understand what the rights of others are. When poll challengers come in, what are their rights? And how do you handle these people? Because that's, face it, this is going to be a dicey situation. But we also want to, I like to see us train the poll challengers so they understand their rights and the respect that they need to have when they come in and do their, what we consider their job also, even though they're not paid by us and they're not hired by us. So we're trying to get ahead of the situation before it, it gets ugly, if it does get ugly.
It's good to hear. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Tony.
Good afternoon.
I just want to see if I have this right. Out of the 2.1 million, your department is getting 400,000 plus?
Yep.
And the balance of the 1.7 whatever is going out to the locals? And out of that 2.1 million, you're thinking right now, your suggestion to the state was to get a check in summer and then another check later for the balance of it.
Correct.
But those two checks, or all those checks would encompass the 2.1 million.
Correct.
What do you anticipate spending the summer money on? Like materials, ballots?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of expenses that we've had up front. And Michael, you might want to go into what the details of what we've already spent, and what is being spent.
Sure. So the money that we anticipate spending sooner, at least with respect to our portion, would be the ballot on demand, equipment purchases, ballot on demand money, and the public education, voter outreach, and election inspector recruitment, so we can start getting the word out. The rest of our ballots, for example, precinct kits, things like that, supplies that are election specific, we would spend later on for the August and November elections. The local clerks would probably do something similar, so their ballot containers, hotspots, equipment, all of the equipment that they need to buy, the machinery to implement early voting has to be spent immediately. As I don't remember who said it, but local clerks have been spending money, for months getting ready for this because they have to. So that would be the first chunk of the money, and then, as Clerk Forlini said, the second half we anticipate being more election-specific costs, such as ballots for us and labor, early voting election inspectors for the local clerks.
What extra equipment do we need for early voting? Aren't we just using the equipment we already would use on election day?
Yes, but there's more of it. So tabulators, for example, are not allowed to be, that are used during early voting, are not allowed to be reutilized on election day. So we need additional tabulators. Same thing with voter assist terminals, ballot on demand machines that are now allowed under state law. So there's the same equipment, a few new pieces, but mostly the same equipment. We just need more of it because it can't be reutilized.
And if the county were to do the early voting, what would that mean? Early voting would be in Mount Clemens at your site, and people would come from all over the county, or what would that mean?
We don't know what that looks like, because there's a certain element that I don't like about it, because I think there's a certain level of voter suppression when we do things like that, because now it's a long distance for some people to drive. So I'm really reluctant to go that route, but I can see the writing on the wall and how these things are going, that it may come down to that, because local clerks don't have the time or the resources to continually run these early elections that might have just a handful of people come in. But we don't know that yet. We're gonna find out a little bit in February, but certainly in the fall, we're gonna know more.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry to go a second time, but I'm curious what is included in the voter education and outreach. Is that something that we create? Is that something from the state? And is that something that, in order to use this funding, you have to check every box to use that fund? So can we not do voter outreach and still get the funds?
No, I had asked that question specifically. What we don't use, we lose. Specifically, it has to be used for that category.
So what qualifies as voter education and voter outreach? Do we know that yet?
I think just about anything that educates the voters to the new laws It's really content specific, that there's early voting, what are the dates of the voting? Recruiting workers. We are gonna do a big push to recruit workers. I think that is where we can help the local clerks the most. Because there's a lot of time spent. We got really a great program that we've put together that has been critical for these local clerks, because they don't have the resources to go out there and find people. It's tough enough to find people right now as it is. But to say, hey, we want you for these 9 days, and then you got the Super Bowl, right, on election day, and we want you to work, 15 hours that day,
That's not gonna work.
and we're gonna pay you $15 an hour. It's tough to find these people. Some people are willing to do it because they want to give back. And so our job is to try to dig out there. And listen, here's the other part. And this is something I'm pretty serious about, because like Commissioner Zinner said, people are saying, hey, I can't go out there. But every single precinct needs to have one Democrat, one Republican, or opposing parties at these poll locations. And I've been adamant about that we as the county have the diversity of the size of the county to be able to recruit from different parties, bring them in and train them, and then, face it, there's other areas that have more Republicans than Democrats, and vice versa in other communities. So we have that ability to try to cross-pollinate, and I really want this to show up where there's truly a Democrat and truly a Republican at every polling location. Whether we can make that happen or not, I'm gonna give it the best try that we can.
Sure.
Because I want it to, I want to take out any doubt.
Okay. I was just wondering on the voter education outreach, because there's going to be every candidate under the sun is going to be telling everybody on this planet, hey, you can vote 9 days early. And I'm just wondering if that's money where if we are falling short in terms of printing ballots or anything like that, that we can shift.
Can't.
Okay. Thank you, Tony.
I asked that.
Thank you,
That was a specific question.
Commissioner Hall, second round.
Thank you. One of the attributes that you haven't talked about yet is sometime in March, the clerks have already mailed out where your precinct is with a set of guidelines and rules. Sometimes in March, that's going to change with the redistricting being proposed, and it could change the precincts that people thought they were voting at. So they have to remail and re-educate a second time. And I have heard a lot about that issue, but nevertheless, that's going to be one of the education requirements.
Yeah, it's a hot mess. That really, unfortunately, that's what it is. But that's our task, to make sure we get the right information out. And we got some good clerks in the county, we really do. I'm kind of blessed, because when I look around and see that, some need a little bit more help than others, and that's where we're going to try to help and pull it together for them.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. I see no other speakers. Please vote. Thank you, Clerk Floridi. Nice presentation.
Thank you.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item E is a purchase Flock Safety Falcon Flex cameras, 15 of them, and software, $56,000. We have Captain Doherty going to make the presentation. I need a motion to move this to full
So
board.
move, Hall.
Support Zinner.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Zinner. Cap, you're up.
Good afternoon. For your review, is a one-year contract with Flock Safety to provide 15 Falcon cameras for automatic license plate detection in the amount of $56,000. And it's going to be utilized for our Macomb Auto Theft Squad. The one-year agreement will be covered by the Auto Theft Prevention Authority, so no cost to the county. The Falcon cameras are portable and can be deployed to areas experiencing a rise in crime, to include auto theft. Flock Safety is a sole source provider. We ask that you approve this contract, as it would assist MATS greatly with their criminal investigations.
Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Chair. Captain, I believe we started this program about 2 years ago with approving cameras going in at certain specific areas. Is the intent to expand that across the county?
Those were kind of traffic cameras on intersections, pretty much in different. This is actually a portable, it's called a Falcon camera system, which is portable. And it can be, we can actually, in the MATS unit, can actually put those where they need those, in high crime areas where they're having, arise in, say, stolen vehicles. So they're a little bit different. They're not a fixed camera. They're actually portable and can be moved.
Well, the portable sounds like a better option to me than the fixed ones. Correct? Okay, thank you.
For mats, I believe it would be.
That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you. Putting something that's high-tech and portable in a high-crime area.
Is that a question?
Is the camera going to grow legs?
Well, it's gonna be put high enough. There's specifications where it has to be posted, so it's not that you can reach it from the ground level.
So it'll be like permanently mounted, but it's,
They're portable. So
temporary,
for example, maybe in an apartment complex experiencing stolen cars, we could
Okay.
actually put it on like a light pole and have it very high, so you just can't reach up or damage, destruct it.
okay. Because that just seemed like I think you got what we're
Absolutely.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. I see no other speakers. Please vote. Thank you, Captain.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you.
Item F is intergovernmental agreement amendment, Macomb Township Regional Emergency Dispatch Services for $41,415. We have Dispatch Director Angela Elsey in front of us. Need a motion to recommend this to full board?
So moved by Nard.
Support.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Nard, supported by Commissioner Sabatini, and Dispatch Director Angela Elsey, you are up.
Good
Couple
afternoon.
of times.
Good to see you all. Happy New Year. So today I have the first item in front of you is a request to approve an intergovernmental agreement amendment with Macomb Township. Macomb Township's agreement with Emergency Dispatch Services, the current agreement was entered into January 1st of 2022, expires December 31st of this year, which we, both parties do intend to renew. However, there is a change in the total cost of equipment maintenance and technical support. So attachment A to the intergovernmental agreement has several line items, one of which says fire equipment maintenance. That total includes all of the maintenance for their Tyler Technologies contribution, which is the public safety suite of software that we fund and we invoice the other communities for their contribution for, and that's what connects them to Comtech Dispatch and to each other, as well as all of the other technical components that they need for that connectivity and interoperability and communication and the support. They've recently made a shift, and they were very progressive in doing this, in shifting to Tyler Technologies completely cloud-based solutions. So they're staying with our current vendor, they're staying on our contract, they're just taking advantage of some of the new solution offerings that give them a lot more transparency into their own data and analytics, that allow them to share and export and import data easier, and they're saving a significant amount of money on the overall maintenance that they're paying as a part of our overall Tyler bill because of these subscription services. But beyond just the services cost, they're saving significantly on the actual personnel cost in terms of support. Our IT support doesn't have to put as much work or focus onto physical hardware and infrastructure when these are cloud solutions that are hosted offsite that we're paying a subscription fee for. And they've also eliminated a significant amount of other software requirements that were needed for connectivity. So their overall maintenance cost is reducing by quite a bit. So from $83,400 to $41,415 for the year. So we just need to update the intergovernmental agreement with the amendment so finance can invoice them the appropriate equal payment every month.
Thank you. I see no speakers. Please vote. Don't you leave.
I'm not leaving.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item G is a budget amendment for the Sheriff's Office Dispatch. What does the acronym ATOS stand for?
ATOS, it's just they capitalize it.
What is it?
It's not an acronym. It's the name of their company. It's called ATOS.
Okay, that's fine.
They just
Call
capitalize it.
handling contract for $2,041,681, and I need a motion to recommend this to full board.
So move, Perna.
Support Nard.
I have a motion by Commissioner Perna, supported by Commissioner Nard. Director Elsie, you're up again.
Okay. So following board approval in December to enter into agreement with ATOS Public Safety for their 911 call handling solution, which is going to support the Sheriff's Office, Warren and Shelby Township Dispatch Centers, we now need the budget amendment to fund the initial one-time cost and the first year of maintenance. So approval of a fiscal year 24 budget amendment for the Sheriff's Calendar Dispatch Fund will be necessary in the total amount of $2,041,681. This amendment increases capital outlay by $1,193,205, increases contract services specifically in the spend category of software maintenance for $848,476. But there's a corresponding increase to reimbursement revenue in the amount of $727,361. And so an overall decrease in fund balance, $1,314,320. No general fund contribution for any of this. This is entirely funded through E911 Cellular Fee Fund. And Warren and Shelby will reimburse the county for their contributions, which is reflected in the increase to the reimbursement revenue.
Thank you. Again, I see no speakers. Please vote.
Thank you. Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Last but not least, Resolution 224 for 2024-11879, amendment to the Macomb County 911 Service Plan to adopt a change in public safety answering point PSAP designation. I need a motion to recommend this to full board.
So moved by Nard.
Port Hall.
I have a motion by Commissioner Nard, supported by Commissioner Hall. Elsie, you're up.
Okay. This item is an approval of an amendment to the Macomb County 911 Service Plan, which falls under the purview of the board. So this amendment by resolution would adopt a change in public safety answering point designation, or PSAP designation, which would designate Selfridge Air National Guard Base as a secondary PSAP. They are currently a primary PSAP, which means any calls made on base from a landline phone do ring within a dispatch center on the base perimeter as the first point of call reception. However, National Guard nationwide is decommissioning their 911 centers as a primary center. So those calls have to go somewhere for the first point of reception, and that will be us, because Selfridge is also located in Harrison Township, which falls within our service district. Selfridge Air National Guard will operate as a secondary PSAP, which means they will receive calls through the transfer or relay method. That is the definition in the statute. So we will transfer those calls directly to them on a 911 trunk line. We will not handle those calls other than verifying the location of the emergency. They will still dispatch all of their own resources. We will simply answer the call, verify that they are on base, and transfer to their dispatch center. But in accordance with 911 law, amendment to the service plan does need to be made to designate them as a secondary.
Thank you. Commissioner Zinner?
Thank you, Chair. I don't suppose this has happened before, and this is being brought up now. So have there been situations that have prompted this effort?
Well, this is an order from the National Guard, and so the Selfridge Air National Guard Base, I mean, their hands are tied. They can't decide to operate as a 911 center when they're being told you're no longer nationwide. Any of our guard bases are not going to be a primary center. I believe a lot of it, from what I understand on my recent visit on base and meeting with the leadership over there, was the call handling solution that they use. Just like you approved the purchase of ATOS, those are expensive. And it's just not an expense that equals volume for them in terms of use. So they're no longer going to support a traditional 911 call handling solution. So those calls have to be answered somewhere. 911 has to be, routed to a local PSAP. And so we are the local PSAP for Harrison Township. So those calls will come to us and we will transfer to them.
Well, I sure feel awkward since no one's supposed to go on that base without permission, even though I've always had, of course, Macomb County Sheriff and deputies in high esteem. It's not about that. It's always been the base. No one can come on, and I'm sure I'm not saying anything against the sheriff and deputies.
Oh, we will not be responding to base, Commissioner. They will still dispatch their own security forces police department, and their fire department will still respond. It's just the initial 911 call will be answered. So similarly to how a 911 call in the city of Sterling Heights, it comes to Comtech here in Mount Clemens.
Okay, so you just referred over.
But Sterling Heights Police responds, not the sheriff's office.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
welcome.
your explanation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Director Elsie, I have to say, I have to commend you. You come prepared, you've got the answers, you do your homework. It makes it a lot easier for us. Seeing no other questions, please vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item, what item is it? Item I is purchase Thomson Reuters clear subscription, $36,317.16. And we have Chief of Special Prosecutors, Mr. Biondo. I need a motion to move this to full board, please.
Move,
I'm going
Perna.
to go with item 10 and looks like 10J, please.
9.
I'll fit. No, wait a minute. No, let's just go with INJ.
IJK.
Yeah, we're gonna go with INJ right now. I need a motion to move this full board.
So moved by Nard.
Got a motion by Commissioner Nard, supported by Commissioner Wallace. Mr. Biondo.
Thank you, Commissioners. On behalf of Prosecutor Lucido, we appreciate the opportunity to be heard on our agenda items. Regarding these two particular agenda items, previously we had this service in place for a 3-year period from 21 through 23. Both the Thomson Reuters Clear subscription and the Thomson Reuters Westlaw subscription. The Clear subscription is for our investigators, and the change from the previous contract to the new one is we're going from 8 to 9 licenses. And the primary purpose of this service is so that they can track down people who do not want to be found. I know this board has received numerous updates on all the work we're doing to track down parents who aren't paying child support. That's primarily the main tool we use to track these people down. And so we're asking for the board to approve that. Likewise, the Westlaw subscription for legal research, that allows our APAs to check the current status of case law and what they need to do their jobs. I have a memorandum from Mr. Josh Abbott, our chief appellate lawyer, who had intended to be here, just like Mr. Reese was here, but unfortunately he had to go down a few minutes ago. But I do have a memo that I just wanted to relay to you guys that, in his opinion, Mr. Josh Abbott, as a chief appellate attorney, has recommended that we continue to use Westlaw. We've successfully used this tool for the last 25 or so years. All our APAs are trained to use it. And in light of all the additional training we're doing with the implementation of Carpel and everything else, it didn't make sense to us to force everyone to go to a new system and learn it when we have so many other things going on. And so I'm happy to answer any questions that this board might have, but we need these tools in place for us to do the work that we need to do.
I see no speakers. We're voting on item 10I and 10J. Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Item K is a memorandum of understanding, 37th Judicial District Court, Drug Court, no cost to the county. Mr. Biondo, Chief of Special Prosecutions. I need a motion. I'm getting dizzy here. Motion to recommend this to full board.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Kraft, supported by Commissioner Nard. Mr. Biondo.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll be brief on this item, but I think it's a great way to highlight something new that we're doing for the year. And so this is actually, the Warren Drug Court has existed, and one of the things I noticed when we were talking about the budget process was the issue of the specialty courts. And Prosecutor Cito wants to have the most transparent county office in the state. And so he asked me to review these things in the context of the budget amendment discussion. But when I looked more into this, I recommended to the prosecutor, and he wholeheartedly agreed, is that these MOUs should be coming through the board to be approved. It's the right thing to do, and so that's what we're going to be doing moving forward. And this is the first of a dozen more that'll be coming through the board over this year. And these are all basically already established specialty courts. If we have any new ones that get established, obviously we'll bring those as well. But this is Prosecutor Lucido's commitment to transparency, and we're looking forward to the board's review and discussion on these items, which is appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. Biondo. Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. You get a lot out there, Mr. Biondo.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Item L is Consulting Services Agreement. David Fischer Consulting, LLC, Consulting Services, $36,000. I need a motion to move this to full board.
So moved by Nard.
Support Perna.
I have a motion by Commissioner Nard, supported by Commissioner Perna. I think this is your last one here, Mr. Biondo? You're
Yes, sir. I'll be brief. I mean, this is pretty straightforward because of what the board did for the prosecutor's office when Prosecutor Lucido asked for funding to hire an outside consultant. You guys know how well we did last year, and we're hoping to do even better this year. I highlighted a couple examples: the hate crimes, the conviction integrity, the auto theft. Right there, $2.5 million basically coming into the county because of this board being willing to spend $35,000 last year on Mr. Fischer. This is essentially a renewal. It's for $36,000, as opposed to last year where he got hired in May, and so he worked from May to December. The hope here is obviously we have him year-round because we want to stay on top of these new grants and ideally get more this year.
Thank you. I see no speakers. Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you,
At
Commissioners.
this time, we are going to go into closed session to discuss confidential memo from independent counsel dated January 22nd, 2024, from Mr. Peter Webster, who is our independent counsel. So I'll need a motion to enter into closed session. Moved by Commissioner Kraft, supported by Commissioner Sabatini.
Chair,
Please vote. Yep.
I'd like to qualify my vote. I'm voting no. Our agenda item reads, closed session to discuss confidential memo from independent counsel. We have no idea what this is again. We have no documentation of what's being presented. And I said the last time we went into closed session, dropping these yellow documents on us 30 seconds before we got to make a decision is unacceptable to me. And if anybody on this commission can tell me what this agenda item is, I'd like to hear it. Yeah, there's my point.
Commissioner Hall has made a statement here saying that he doesn't want to go into closed session because he doesn't know what's actually going to be presented to us. So we as a commission can vote, yes, we can go into closed session, or no, we don't have to go into closed session.
I'm not trying to encourage a vote,
I
Chairman.
understand
I'm
that,
just
Commissioner
voting
Hall. I
my
just
way.
want the
And
commissioners to
I've said
realize.
this before.
I understand.
This is ridiculous for us to make. We had corporate counsel on the agenda on Monday, and they provided us the legal opinion in advance before we went into closed session. Now, if corp counsel can do that, why can't we? So there's my opinion. I'm voting no.
I don't want to sway anybody's opinion, but I totally agree with you. So
I make a
please
mo-
vote. Yes is to go into closed session. No is to go, not go into closed session.
I don't have a vote.
You don't have a vote?
Should not be closed right now because
We are in closed session right now, we can't vote.
We're trying to decide.
Can we vote in closed session, or can't we?
You got to vote to go into closed session.
Close meeting.
I thought we were voting to go into closed session.
Can we,
That's what I'm saying.
we're
We're voting
not
to
in
go into
closed
closed
session.
session. Isn't that a yes or no?
We already went into closed
We
session.
already
before
voted
we
on that.
voted, though.
No, in order to
Did
go
you
in,
all vote?
We already voted. to
hold
go
it,
into-
commissioners, hold it.
I don't have
You want to
everybody's
address the
vote.
chair, I'll recognize you.
I voted to go into closed session already.
You
Can
voted
we-
to go into closed sessions, so now we have to vote to agree to go into closed session, is that correct?
No.
What I'm saying is, I thought
We did already.
I didn't receive a vote from everybody
Right,
to enter
so-
closed session.
You did receive a vote?
I did not.
You did not receive a vote from everybody to go into closed session yet. So
All right.
now we're going to vote to go into closed session.
Someone's got to open that.
Excuse me, Commissioner, are you looking to be
I'm not gonna
recognized?
vote.
Open that door.
Thank you.
And flip this sign.
We're voting to go into closed session,
Or not.
or not.
We didn't get this, so we don't know what we're going in there for.
Yeah, we didn't get this yet.
I don't know what's in there.
Turn it over.
Okay, you know what you're voting on, Commissioners? Please vote.
Don't know what I'm voting.
Sorry, we're voting to go in closed session, so you have to go back out.
No,
Happy to witness it.
If it passes, you go.
no, they could stay. They could stay.
They didn't have to go, that's all right. Not yet, they didn't have to go yet.
But they didn't flip the sign probably.
I think it'll be fine.
Commissioners, would you please vote if there are those who haven't voted?
I voted.
And the door's closed again.
Motion,
Not gonna worry about it.
motion fails 8-4.
So we're not going into closed session.
I think I need 9, right?
Do you want this back?
Oh, come on.
We're not going in, right?
We don't have a majority.
Can I ask a question? Why are we getting these late? Is there someone that's leaking stuff? Is that the reason?
Excuse me, I think we're still on the vote. And the vote says.
Sorry.
The vote was
You need
no.
9?
We're not in closed session.
Motion failed
Only 12 of
8-4.
us here.
It doesn't matter, it's the sitting commissioners.
Who's our parliamentarian? We got somebody like that around here?
Bristol.
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 Crystal's checking.
Bristol. We have 12 commissioners.
Well, we're double checking if it's sitting
serving.
or,
Please,
serving.
let's find out if
For
it's
the
sitting or
regular
sitting.
votes, it is serving, so we're double checking it.
All right, hold on.
Serving
Hold
means
on,
13.
commissioners.
Yes. Well,
She just didn't know how to announce the results, but she's, yeah.
Yeah, I think we voted twice.
I didn't vote twice.
Give you a stand-up. Or a bone. I mean, not a bone.
No one's listening to our meetings, though.
okay.
No, people do.
So motion fails 8-4. Commissioners Haw, Nard.
Hold on, I'm sorry, would you please repeat that?
Motion fails 8-4. Commissioners Haw, Nard, Perna, and Romano voting no.
It's not 8-4.
Oh, no?
Yeah.
How's it feel? How's it feel?
I need
It was
9.
9, she said.
You, though.
She said,
I need
oh,
You want to go into closed session? You got to vote yes, not no.
I don't want to go into closed session.
Okay.
I
He
voted
wants to
right.
go home and eat dinner.
Jesus, Mary Joseph. All right, we done? We're in closed session, we're gonna go into closed session now?
No.
No, we're not.
No.
Because you voted no.
Wonderful. So we got back in open session.
Let me get staff though, so they can.
Yeah, get staff back in.
And when the door was closed. I
Mr.
had a
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider that vote because the next item pertains to closed session, I would assume.
How do you
So
do
now we
that?
can vote on the next item.
We can't vote on the next item. It was.
Because I looked
Our
at the
staff back
document
in
that
here.
was sitting
We're
here.
supposed to have.
Here we go. Item 11, resolution. Resolution 2024-11938. It's a resolution to approve legal services for the prosecuting attorney.
Chair.
And they
Chair,
need
if
a
I may.
motion to recommend this to full board.
Chair, there was a motion made. It's a request.
Mr. Chair, I made a motion
I'll
to
support,
reconsider the vote,
I'll support that.
and it has now been supported.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your motion to reconsider the vote.
You just repeated it.
And did you get a support?
Yeah, my,
Commissioner Song.
So we want to vote now to reconsider the vote to go into closed session again?
Correct.
Yes.
So yes means we go into closed session, no says we're not going into closed session.
No, wait a minute.
Yes means we get to vote whether we want to go in closed session or not.
This is just
Get to
voting
vote.
whether or not we can vote again.
This is to reconsider. This is
Hold on,
not the vote
please,
to do.
commissioners, one at a time. let's don't have four people talking, all right? You want to be recognized, I'll recognize you. Now, does anybody want to be recognized? Commissioner Song.
Chair, I support Commissioner Kraft's motion to reconsider a vote to go into closed session.
Thank you. Anybody else wishes to speak? Nobody else wishes to speak? So now do you want to vote? Yes, we go into closed session. No, we do not go into closed session. Does that sound correct?
Mr. Chair,
Let's
technically,
vote, please.
if the vote is yes on this one, we would vote a second time. This is just to reconsider that first
Reconsider,
vote.
not to vote to do it.
This is the
Yes.
vote to reconsider.
Correct.
Yes is to reconsider, no is to not to reconsider. Thank you.
I don't know if I need 2/3 on this.
You don't.
No.
You don't. Not on this motion.
Here we go again.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Motion passes 8-4. Commissioners Haw, Nard, Perna, and Romano voting no.
Now, so now we're gonna vote it to, so now we're gonna re-vote if we're
Right.
going in closed session, okay?
And now we're going to revote to go into closed session?
You need a motion again?
We need it?
Yes.
The motion.
Well,
Excuse me. Do we need another?
they have a motion.
Yes, I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
We have a motion by Commissioner Song to go into closed session. I need a support.
To discuss confidential.
Yeah,
Can
to
go back.
discuss whatever. Let's
uh,
vote on that.
Discuss confidential memo from independent counsel dated January 22nd, 2022,
Okay.
2024.
And we're voting on that right now. Would you, if you would
So
put up the
much
vote,
fun.
please?
Lots of fun. How much do you want to bet?
Well, you got money?
No.
I'm conflicted. Can I go abstain?
No, you cannot.
I gotta go potty.
We're all gonna have to go potty by the time this is
I don't
over.
wanna stay. I got,
Everybody vote?
I mean, I don't even know what we're voting about.
Motion passes 9-3. Commissioners Haw, Nard, and Romano voting no.
Another engagement agreement, Perkins Law Group, PLLC, pre-litigation services. We have an engagement letter. Everybody's getting engaged here. Engagement letter from Evans Law Group, PC, pre-litigation legal services, 42.5. And we have an engagement letter from Plunkett Cooney, pre-litigation legal services, 42.5. I need a motion to move this to full board.
Motion to move. Nard.
I have a motion by
Support.
Commissioner Nard, supported by
Lucido.
Commissioner Lucido. Please vote.
Chair, if I may, just for clarity purposes.
Please.
The total amount is 42,500 for all 5 of these firms, not individually.
Thank you, Commissioner. So the total amount is 42.5 for all of the legal services. Anybody else? Please, oh, Commissioner Kraft?
Real quick, thank you, Mr. Chair. Since Mr. Biondo is here, would any of these services be on retainer?
No, and so.
That's good.
It's all, thank
That was a
you.
good answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak?
Anything else you wanna ask?
No.
Nobody else wants to speak?
Nope.
Please vote.
No.
Motion passes 11-1. Commissioner Haw voting no.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, that takes care of that one. Thank you, Mr. Biondo. Sorry you had to wait so long. Todd, sorry you had to wait so long.
We're here at your convenience. Thank you for
Well,
your
thank you.
time.
Then sit down and have a seat. We got a couple more things here.
Yes, sir.
Item- Sorry. Item 12 is, stop. Public participation. The opportunity for public participation is for those who wish to speak for maximum 3 minutes on any issue.
Commissioners, I just wanted to publicly thank your staff. Whenever I have to interact with them, they're nothing but professional, courteous, something that I think you're all aware of, and I just wanted to highlight that. They're always a pleasure to work with to find ways to help our county residents. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 13 is commissioners' comments. I think we had enough comments from
No,
everybody.
I have something to say. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Zinner has something to say. Hold on.
I will say, I'm very fast. Okay, in regard to land bank that we talked about yesterday, I had several texts and calls yesterday, last night and today. The gentleman from Lansing said something about, there was a question, is there any pro, cons or something? He said, well, if they make money from the land that they bought, they have to pay half, if they make a profit, they have to pay half the money back. However, he said, if it's a depressed area, they don't have to pay the money back. And I thought, well, gee, later on I thought, well, who makes that decision? If it's depressed, does he make the decision you don't have to pay, you do have to pay? How does that work with the other 7 men or other 7 people that work in that area? Does that become confused after a while? And I just thought that was a questionable situation. And with people calling me and texting me, they have been around this or aware of it. There were quite a few. When they heard the word land bank, I don't know how they knew all this stuff or knew about this. It must have been a meeting somewhere. They said that, now I don't talk to people who had this happen to them, but these people knew about it. And apparently they can have some real problems with this in that in St. Clair, somebody said the person had to pay 2.5 times what the money was that he had made out of it. And there are a lot of situations that do not work well with this land bank situation. We only heard the positive things, but it did not work well for many people, and I wanted to make that known. I will be changing my vote just so people are aware of situations that were not brought up last night. Thank you very much, and good night.
Anybody else want to speak?
Me.
Commissioner Hall?
Thank you. Barb, I would suggest that you propose those situations and questions to our treasurer and get his opinion of what these people are telling you, of whether or not it's factual or there's a situation that's exclusive to them. They are the ones, and I want to make this clear to everybody. It's the treasurer's office that wanted the land bank.
I understand.
When this was originally proposed to Mark Hackle, he said no. He did not want to be involved in it. He was convinced by Larry, by Skip, by Frank, by John. So any of that stuff that you're getting in the phone calls that this is something for Hackle, it's not.
I didn't bring up Hackle.
No, I'm just saying, I've heard it came out in some of the phone calls. What I'm suggesting is if you've got, oh, yes, it did.
The phone calls I got had nothing to do
Not
with
from
Hackle.
you. I already said,
Sorry.
Barb, not the
I'm
one
sorry.
you got.
I'm sorry.
If you got questions, talk to them. Secondly, I heard Pete say this document was submitted to staff. It should have been in our system. There's no reason that these things aren't in our system. I'm sure the staff, and I know Don's on the phone, heard the vote to not go in closed session. So we need to fix this process, which is what I suggested back in December, so we all have a chance to read these. Dropping this, and I know it's not your fault, Pete, and I didn't want you to take it personally, and you did. So I'm sorry about that. Our system has got a flaw in it if this is the way we're operating. We all claim we want transparency. Here's an opportunity for us to do it to us. Doesn't get any better than that, folks. Thank you, Chair.
Any other commissioners wishing to speak? The only other statement, I don't see any of the other statement. The only
Motion
other
to
statement I'm
adjourn.
going to make to Commissioners Zinner, and if I may, with all due respect to you, Commissioner Zinner, you know, I understand what you're telling us, and I know that you heard from a second party or third party. I'm like the guy from Missouri, show me. It's a lot of hearsay. I believe what you're saying, but I just want to make sure that we don't believe everything that's being said to you. You, I believe, 100%. People talking here is who I kind of question. So having said that, I'm going to go to my last item, which is item 14. Who said that? You said that? We have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Kraft, supported by Commissioner
You did that on
Wallace.
Wallace. Please vote.
Already voted.
He voted.